Alright. Hello. Why is it like this? Well, you see, today is February 1st. As I'm recording this, as I put this video out, it's February 1st. Which means it is birth month 2020. All this month, I'm going to be reviewing movies that I grew up with or that have something to do with my childhood. Like, there's even, like, remakes of movies I watched when I was a kid. I could do, stuff that has to do with my childhood. Sorry. As long as it, harkens back to my childhood, it'll be a part of it. And so, well, why are we standing here? Because I have a new background. I have a new background for this month. I thought I did a pretty good job at it this morning. I was going to do it last night, but I got too tired, so did this morning. So here's the new background, and then I will tell you, well, you probably know what review I'm doing, so here it is. Isn't that beauty? She's a beauty, one in a million, girl. She's a beauty. Why would I lie? I don't know what I'm doing. Alright. So, now that I'm here. Okay, so I have this whole big list of stuff. Sneak peek. Got that. That I want to do for this month. 29 days, movies to review. I didn't know where to start. It was between Back to the Future or The Mummy. So what do I do? Well, you know what? I decided, fuck it. I'll do both. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do back to back. I'm going to go Back to the Future, Mummy. Back to the Future, Mummy. Back to the Future, Mummy, and then I'll figure out where to go from there. I'm going to do all three of these movies. They were a part of my childhood, even though I watched the third one a little bit later, because the first and second one were always on TV, but where's the third one? We had to rent it from a Blockbuster or something when I was a kid, whatever. And then The Mummy was late in my childhood, and the first two I remember being a big part of my adolescence, at least. And then the third one, I went to the theater to see, and I'm like, oh, I'll just do originally it's just like, I'll do the first one. No, I'm going to put the second one in there too. I'll do all three. So, I'm doing both. And we'll start with Back to the Future, if you know the title of this video. And I want to start with saying that I've done something. So, I have the Steelbook 30th anniversary and the regular 25th anniversary. Two different versions. I actually had a DVD version of it too, that the case got all messed up. And I had them in separate those little thin DVD cases, the little thin ones. You know what? Here, I'll show you what I mean. This, we'll take out Stargate SG-1 here. One of these little thin ones, like that. I had each of them in that with their own slip cover that I printed off the internet. So, and then I gave them to a friend of mine at the time when I got the Blu-rays. Because the case it came in was a weird little case, and it broke, and one of them kept falling out. So I was looking through this while I was finishing up the first Back to the Future film. And I realized that the discs in the 30th anniversary version were way better looking than the ones in this one. And as I was looking, I opened this up and I go, you know what? I think it fits better. So I switched the discs around. So, frame of reference. These are what the discs look like in the 25th anniversary, the regular set. Kind of bland. Just the bland Universal discs that they had now, right? The 30th anniversary discs actually have the artwork from the original theatrical release posters and VHS covers. And I figured, look at this. Doesn't that look better than if it was those regular bland looking discs? Isn't that better? So you know what? for the Back to the Future movies, I'm going to set this back here. So it gets in the way of my background, but it works because it's part of my childhood. I should have it up there to begin with, but... And then we also have the Steelbook, which is cool. And there is a bonus disc, but like, you might be saying, oh, Scotty, aren't they different editions? Well, no. The three films are like the same edition as these ones, just different artwork. I know they are, because I've looked on them. Same menu, everything. You just get a bonus disc here. There's some bonus features for the 3rd anniversary, so that's all it is. Alright, now, enough about the home releases. Let's talk about the goddamn movie. Back to the Future came out in 1985. I was not born yet, but I got into the movies. Remember when I was a kid, I thought I was getting away for something because they said the word shit in the movie. So I thought I was getting away, you know. These are PG movies, I think. But, back in the 80s, PG wasn't as, laid back as it is today, But, so what's the story? You know the story. Marty McFly and Doc is killed by Libyan terrorists, and Marty McFly accidentally uses the time machine to go back to 1955, where he messes up his future. And now he and that 1955 version of Doc have to recorrect things. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about Steven Spielberg, all right? Steven Spielberg was my childhood, whether it was movies like Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, or E.T., or was it television series like Animaniacs, or Freakazoid, stuff like that. That was my childhood. Hook was another good movie by Steven Spielberg. It was just, and Five Goes West, I think, is that said on the Steven Spielberg Presents American Tail, Five Goes West. I have the Blu-ray, I can look it up here. Yeah, see? Will I do these? Maybe. I don't know. I kind of want to lean away from animated films, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind doing some of the ones I watched when I was a kid. I don't know. But we're starting with Back to the Future. And the first thing I think of is Michael J. Fox. But he wasn't originally selected to be... Well, actually he was. He was the first choice to play Marty McFly. But he had scheduling conflicts with Family Ties at the time. So Eric Stoltz was brought in. And... Now, I hear this story told, and I don't think it's ever told right. Because I've heard it a different way. People say that it was, that they shot some of the movie with Eric Stoltz, which is true, and that they decided it wasn't, wasn't working. But what I haven't heard from most of these is that Eric Stoltz himself, I remember hearing right, said he didn't feel right about the role. I remember hearing about Eric Stoltz himself said that he didn't feel right about being in the role. He was taking it too seriously. He didn't mean to be seriously. And actually, Tom F. Wilson on one of the podcasts, said that he's actually still in the film. There's the scene in the diner, or the cafeteria, one of the two, where Marty punches Biff. And that punch is actually Eric Stoltz's fist punching him in the face. So there's the more you know. So yeah. And so Michael J. Fox was brought in, and he was actually doing, I should have done I can do it another time. What I'm talking about is Drum Dums did a commentary for Back to the Future. I was going to have the commentary running right next to it, but I forgot because I'm stupid. Now I have to wait to do that. Eventually, one of these nights, I like to do what I call late night with Lee, where I put on a commentary, put on a movie, and I just, late at night, I relax, have a snack. Might do one tonight. Who knows? Well, do I want to watch Back to the Future again? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I can just wait till birth week. I don't know. So anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Eric Stoltz. He was okay. Michael J. Fox at the time was going back and forth between Family Ties and Back to the Future, and was actually sleeping in the vehicle on the way between shoots. So he didn't have much time to do this, but you know, the product is anything. You get out a good product. You try your best. You do what you have to. You get out a good product. Steven Spielberg didn't direct this. People out there hating. Steven Spielberg didn't direct. No, he didn't direct this. He produced it. Robert Zemeckis directed all 3 of these films. I say that right there, but Steven Spielberg had a hand in this. That's what I'm saying. See, Steven Spielberg presents right there in the thing. He had a hand in it. He didn't direct Five Goes West either, but he had a hand in it. I'm just saying. Special effects for the time are actually pretty good. I mean, they're probably practical. There's actual fire there. Marty going back in time. Now, the one thing that confused me when I was a kid is why did he jump in? Literally hours before this, he gets told the story. Again, he's been told several times, but the story gets told to us about how his mom and dad met because Lorraine's father almost hit his dad with the car. And so, at this point, he's following his dad around. Dad falls out of the tree. Looks like the car's going to hit him. Now, in my mind, if I was Marty, I'd be like, oh, this is how they meet. So I would sit there and I would see how it happened, you know. But I understand. As an adult now, I understand. It's an impulse. You see your dad about to get hit by a car. Dad! You go in there, you jump in. You know, you get hit by the car. And it fucks everything up. So now, your mom is in love with you. Ew. She thinks your name is Calvin Klein. Because it says that on your underwear. Now, 1955. The one thing that confuses you when they say, oh, John F. Kennedy Drive. Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? 1955. Are you sure he wouldn't be known by then? At least for something? He wouldn't be president. When did Kennedy become president? I don't know. I don't remember my history class. Which I surprisingly did well in. But I don't know. But, you know, he goes to Doc. Doc doesn't understand. You know, he doesn't believe him when he says it from the future until he tells the story about how he hit his head on the toilet, which is what Doc told to him before. So he can remember the story that Doc told to him about how he hit his head on the toilet and thought of something that would make time travel possible. Well, he can't remember the story. He's been told a million times. This story about hitting his head and thinking of the flux capacitor, first time he's heard the story. But a story that we know, at least they've been told a million times, that since they were little kids, at least, about how the parents met. He can't remember that. I understand it's impulse, but he can't remember that, but he remembers the story about hitting head on the toilet. That was just told to him. Who knows? But, and yes, I'm going to address this right here. I'll probably have to address it in the other ones. There's a lot of parallels with what happens in present time, or 1985 time, and this time. Like, Marty comes home from school, Biff is there, and though he has a whole exchange with George about, about he's doing, George is still doing his paperwork, even they work at the same job, which, how big of a coincidence they both end up working at the same job? Oh, you don't want me to get fired, do you? Do you? No, no, of course not, Biff. I'll type it up and give it to you tomorrow. Good. Not long. I sleep on Sundays. Oh, choose on type. And we see the same exchange when they're teenagers. You know. So it's sleep in Saturdays, but still, it's just like it's the same exchange, and over again we see this. Throughout the trilogy, there's a chase scene. There's chase scenes in the other two. Just stuff repeats itself over and over again in the manure trucks and stuff like that. But yeah, it gets repetitive, but it works. The DeLorean. Did you know that originally it was supposed to be a refrigerator they're traveling through time in, but they decided they didn't want kids locking themselves, shutting themselves inside their refrigerators and possibly killing themselves. So they changed to a DeLorean. Why a DeLorean? Because they wanted it to look cool. Here's the DeLorean right there. Coolest car. I always wanted one of these cars. They're not a thing anymore, but sometimes you see them, but they're not. Like a few years ago, I think around 2015ish, maybe less than that. When the the Hy-Vee was still like right over here. A friend and I were walking, and we actually saw there was a DeLorean sitting outside, so it was kind of cool. But yeah. So I don't know if they changed it on purpose, but this is the only film what you need plutonium to power the DeLorean. And so they use a bolt of lightning, which they know is going to strike the clock tower. They use that as a way to send Marty back to the future. Okay, works. So the ending. There's not much to talk about. It's 20 minutes, whatever. But the ending to this is iconic. It's one of the most iconic endings in film. Marty's home. He sees the changes that happen. His family is rich. His dad is making... they have more money. They live in the same place, but they have more money. At least I think that the way their living room is set up is a little more... like they have more money. And even his brother and sister... Because you don't know, there's this photograph that the people, they're starting to disappear. And he has to go and he has to make sure that his parents get together. Let's talk about that. Okay, so he helps his dad send him to Biff, which he's never done. Right away, that's going to change something. You know it is. And even, he's like, he's never stood with Biff before. Never. No. But, never mind. That changes something. This is one thing that's always bugged me, alright? He stands up to Biff. Cold cock Biff knocks him out. They get into the dance. And then there's this guy, this redhead guy, that just kind of pushes George out of the way and takes Lorraine away and starts dancing. And then George just starts to walk away. And he has to get up his courage to fight for her again. It's always bugged me. Why did they have to do that? Why did he have to prove again? Why did... He just cold-cocked Biff, his rival since like forever. He has proven. He has overcome that. Why did he then have to prove himself again? It doesn't make any sense. Every time I watch this, that little snippet that they show at the dance doesn't make any sense other than to build the tension. Oh, is he going to kiss her? Is he not? Oh, Marty's starting to disappear. Oh, no. And then he's trying to be good because it works. And he kisses Lorraine, but maybe that was to build up courage for him to kiss Lorraine. I don't know. But you could have just done this. Instead of that, he just... they start to disappear because they haven't kissed yet. And then Lorraine can be like, George, aren't you going to kiss me? And George like laughs or something, and then they kiss, and then, Earth Angel, will you be mine? You didn't have to put that jerk guy in there, to build tension. It doesn't make any sense with the context. He just knocked out Biff, and now this redheaded twerp is going to stand between him, and he's, I'm just going to walk away. No, I'm going to stand up. It doesn't make any sense. It never makes any sense. So we get to the ending. Marty goes back to the future, or to 1985. Doc, who was shot by the Libyans, absolutely, the question is, after Marty went back at the beginning of the movie, does this scene play out afterwards? Like, he goes back in past and another Marty shows up? No. Quite definitively, I believe that Doc was dead. Completely dead. After a Marty accident, he goes back in the time machine. Doc's body just lays there. And cops or somebody finds him. And then Marty is declared missing. That's what happens. But then Marty goes back. He changes some things. My reasoning for this is that the name of the mall, called the Twin Pines Mall, is now changed to the Lone Pine Mall. And it was also changes within Marty's family as well. That completely changed things. So, in the original timeline, Doc would be dead. And Marty would be presumed missing. Now the question is, the Marty that goes back in the DeLorean this time, what happened to him? Because you gotta think, this Marty has had a different life. With the parents that he grew up with, this version of the parents, with this version, with Doc knowing that eventually this would have to happen. And, this is the one thing. With Doc knowing he was going to be killed by Libyan terrorists, would he still make the deal with the Libyan terrorists? You think Doc would try to find an alternative energy source to power his DeLorean, knowing that if he tries to use plutonium, he's going to die. But no, Doc decides, great Scott, I'm going to let everything play out the way it's supposed to play out. All because Bulletproof Vest, which is another running gag throughout the series. It is. Bulletproof Vest here. There's a reference in the second one, and there's a reference in there's a Bulletproof Vest in the third one. But whatever, it's a different timeline. So the Marty that went back to 1955 this time, it's confusing when you think about it, because I'm just thinking about it in my head now. That Marty would have been told a different story of how his parents met. So that would already change what had happened. He'd see his father get hit by the car. Like, wait, my dad doesn't get hit by the car. Then he would jump in. He'd get hit by the car, and then he slowly realized he was the Calvin Klein nicknamed Marty that his parents were talking about. And wouldn't the parents know that he looks a lot like Marty? I think George would be like, hey, what did you and Calvin Klein do back in 1985? Although Marty wouldn't have been born, or back in 1955, and Marty wouldn't have been born yet. Marty's the youngest. So I don't know. It's very confusing when you try to think about the timeline after the events that have unfolded in the first film, and what the other Marty that went back to 1955 at the end of this film went through before this, and what he goes through in 1955. They kind of ignored it in the sequels. Who knows? Speaking of sequels, there was not supposed to be a sequel. They never actually planned for a sequel. In all honesty here, the end of the film cliffhanger and all was not supposed to be resolved. That's supposed to be the ending. They never were planning on a sequel or anything. The ending where Doc shows up in the DeLorean and says that they have to go to the future. It's your kids. Someone's got to be done about your kids. And then they fly off. It was never supposed to turn into anything. It's supposed to be an ending. It's supposed to be oh, wow. There's further adventures, but we don't need to see them. They weren't planning on showing them, which kind of messed them up with the sequel, actually. And we'll get to that when I do the second one. But all in all, guys, Back to the Future is a classic film. There are a few gripes I have, but that's just gripes, So, because of this, it might happen a lot with this month, but it's going to get my rare 10 out of 10 Back to the Future. So what are your thoughts on Back to the Future? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. I was going to say something, but I couldn't figure out what. Great Scott. This is heavy. Where we're going, we don't need roads. I don't know.